So notice the aware presence transparent awareness, which effortlessly perceives this perception without in itself being a perception. Notice the silence of presence, within which and out of which this experience arises and is perceived. There is nothing which precedes this silence. Which is alive, which is aware, and yet completely still, with infinite potential. It is within this silence that a thought appears, like a cloud appearing in the sky. It is in vain that a thought attempts to comprehend the silence. But it is in the stillness of thinking in the stillness of movement that first silence can be revealed. Which is consciousness without objects. This silence is not the silence of thought, the silence of the mind. It is the silence within which the mind appears, within which the mind is bathed. Initially, the silence is perceived as the space between two thoughts, the gap between thoughts. Which is your presence. The point at which an inhalation comes to an end and an exhalation starts. So you can gently inhale and notice that there comes a point of stillness at the end of the inhalation. At which point the exhalation starts. In fact, this silence is always present as the background of all experience. As the reality of all experience. And the experience of this silence is peace. Which knows no opposite. It is in the silence of presence that we recognize ourselves. There are no borders and no limits to this silent presence. Everything you need to know is revealed in this silence, and as this silence which is peace and happiness. What you are looking for is between the words. Not in the words, but in the silence that permeates the words. This silent, aware presence is your reality. You are not defined by the movement which appears to you, whichever form and shape your mind takes. Does not define you. You don't need to get too preoccupied with fixing your mind and fixing your experience. Simply allow awareness to recognize itself as you, as your reality. There is no need to imagine somebody that is standing in the way of this simple yet profound recognition. You can let go of the past and the future. And allow yourself to be this timeless presence which you are. not in time. Worries and concerns refer to time, me in the past, me in the future. While all around, you are just this borderless presence, the eternity of now. The body, the world, the mind appear the way they appear to you. They're always pointing you towards yourself. Yourself being that which perceives right now, which is not the body, not a male or female perceiver. So you can tend to the body, tend to the mind and situations that appear to you. From this place of freedom, appropriate response, depending on the situation. Without imagining that there is something at stake for somebody. You will find that that shoe fits much better than imagining yourself to be a limited personal self. Okay, so if you have any questions, anything that you would like to explore, you're welcome to unmute your mic, or you can raise your hand by clicking the reaction icon in the bottom of your screen. So any questions?
Yeah, hi there, Magdi.
Hello, George.
Hi there. Could you please describe, in your experience, how life shows up differently now that you are awakened?
Being awakened, that sounds like a big term, but it's more being at peace. Not a peace that you experience on occasion because something peaceful happened to you. No, more being at home as peace, being peace. So in life is not perceived as like coming at you, or that you are in some sort of pit and you've got to crawl your way out of it. Rather, life is experienced with more harmony, ease. It's a flow. It's friendly. I mean, overall, it's friendly. Sometimes you may be walking and a dog is barking at you. A barking dog. It's but you're not experiencing life as something you are struggling with, or that you are subject to life or victim to life. Of course, the body, depends on variety of food, shelter, and clothing conditions. And the health of the body depends on certain nutrition, some exercising, and in time, it's going to be a lemon. And there aren't like psychological challenges that get you in some of the negative emotions. You adapt to the situation. Some things you're hoping to attain, but things go in a different direction. You change. You change your sail. Like with the wind. You're not always holding the sail in a certain direction. Sometimes you change the direction depending on the wind. And sometimes there is no wind. Then if you have a motor, you turn the motor on. If you don't have a motor, you just, hang out until the wind picks up again. And there's also less resistance, or let's say an absence of resistance, except in situations that require you to, to say, no, that's not where I want that ship to go, And the fear is gone, the fear and the worry. It's our natural state. It's our innate condition before we, the shell of self-identification, before that me structure got established. It is our childlike mind. So the mind is like the childlike mind, except it is aware of the happiness. It is aware of the peace. It is let's say, bathed in the peace and in the freedom, the joy. Naturally, not like, oh, something so fantastic, wow, it's more it's less fantastic than the mind imagines awakening, It's what is the awakened mind is our regular mind, our normal mind, without ignorance, without the belief and the feeling that I'm somebody, and oh my God, what's going to happen to me? Does she like me? Does he like me? Am I succeeding? Am I failing? Is it going to work out? It's not going to work out. Oh, what's going to happen to me? It's our regular mind, our normal mind, our normal awareness, without the self-concern and self-worry.
So do you experience yourself as being, earlier you used the words peace and happiness. So do you experience yourself as being more peaceful? Do you experience yourself as being happier? Do you experience yourself as being more satisfied? You mentioned less worry. Is that accurately describe your experience?
Maybe in retrospect, when I look back, I would say, oh yeah, okay, I am happier now than I was happy than I was a few decades ago. And I could say, yes, I'm more peaceful now than a few decades ago. Yes, but in retrospect. But when I don't look in retrospect, I am just all is well as it is. And there are no issues, no psychological issues. There may be an issue with the car. I don't know, with the tire pressure in the car, but there is no psychological issues, no fears. What was it? What was the last thing you asked? You asked something?
I asked about peace and happiness.
Yeah. Yes. So in retrospect, yes, I could say that there is definitely more peace and happiness. Let's say less, instead of saying more in peace and happiness, I would say less unhappiness. Yes, I could say that. Yes.
Perhaps less internal conflict?
Yes. Very, very much less, if any. Yes. I would say that an absence of conflict, inner conflict, and absence of unhappiness. Absence, just I would say, like Francis sometimes says, 99.99%. Let's leave some room for play, some fudge factor.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Magdi. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, hello, Holger.
Hi, Magdi.
Yes.
What just came to mind when I heard George, I can allow myself to feel uncomfortable. I can allow myself to feel uncomfortable. This is the last few weeks, it just came up several times, and I don't need to run away from it. I can look at the feeling, at the moment, at the idea, at the narrative, and from a place of peace. And this is kind of
Yes.
very beautiful.
You could notice in your house, for example, at night, there is a drip in the, there's some faucet that's dripping, you see. And it's uncomfortable, it's sort of bugging you. So you go down, you find it's a faucet, you tighten it as best as you can, but it continues to drip. There's some plumbing issue. So you're going to go to bed, you're going to be, to a certain extent, uncomfortable. But tomorrow, when you wake up, you get the right tool, you go down, you buy the correct wrench or the washer, and you come home, you shut them in, you open, you replace the washer, and the drip is gone. So then your discomfort, you're uncomfortable, your discomfort is gone. It goes off with the resolution. So this is a little different from unhappiness, because unhappiness has to do with the sense of separation. It's not something that can be remedied by changing your partner or by getting more money or by buying a better car or a better pair of shoes. It's not going to be resolved that way. It has to be resolved by going to the understanding about the cause of the unhappiness and the resolution of the belief that consciousness is personal and limited. But yes, it's not about denying discomfort, or you do your best with the discomfort, of course, to resolve it, because we don't like to be uncomfortable or to be unhappy. So we are trying to find the solution. And the solution sometimes is a practical solution, but sometimes in how we are, at least in our discussions about non-duality, about truth, the resolution lies somewhere else. It lies in the understanding. So it's not sufficient to allow yourself to be uncomfortable. Of course, it's happening anyways. The discomfort, whether you allow it or you don't allow it, it's happening. So it's allowing itself. It's not knocking on. Go ahead.
But it makes a huge difference if I can allow it, if my life is not at stake. I mean, if I can just see it as a movement and thought, and feeling, if I'm not invested in it. And this was for me such a big difference the last few weeks, that I could just allow to feel miserable and see the mechanism, how I was invested in certain outcomes, in my preferences, some scars or whatever. It's just beautiful. It's just totally gratitude.
I mean, if you are struggling with your experience, not allowing it, let's say, then of course allowing it is better than not allowing it, because you're not allowing it is futile, because it's happening anyways. It's a futility. So yes, of course, that's an important thing to relax, because all is well. It's a sensation, a feeling. It's some sort of something happening in the body mind. Like something happening with your car, with your house, with your plumbing, whatever. Okay, so we'll see what we can do. It's not the end of the world. So you can relax about it, and then you can investigate what's the mechanism at work.
It's just interesting to see that it took like 50 years to come to the simplicity.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
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 What matters is that we come to that understanding.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what it took. But I see what you mean, yes, of course. You see, God is not in a hurry. We're not going anywhere because we are everywhere and nowhere. We are it. There's no issue. There's no issue. We imagine issues, but in fact, all is well.
Thank you, Magdi. And I think Mo had his hand up.
Oh, hello, Mo. Yes, one moment.
I had it up and then I lowered it because he kind of
Oh.
answered the question, but now I remembered the different question. So
Okay.
You mentioned in the meditation about the stillness and how it almost seems, at least to me, it seemed like the idea that everything is well in the stillness. There's nothing that needs to get done. And I think you even said that the only times that you said, I think you said the body and the mind will point you in a direction when something does need to get done, which I think you kind of mentioned now, like a dripping faucet or fixing a car. I'm guessing you're referring to like those mechanical aspects. But without that, is there anything that needs to get done? Meaning, does this stillness or consciousness depend on our body, mind to go and execute things because it wants things accomplished? Or that's just our mind coming up with, noise or things that it wants to do, but really nothing needs to get done?
Yes. Yes, nothing needs to get done, which does not mean that you are not free to do whatever you would like to do.
Is there a point to it? Like,
The point,
why that you did say something about you decide what you want, maybe based on your mind and body, but like what is that inner deciding of what I want come from? Is it come from like, is it an intuitive type of thing, or is it just what I grew up with and society told me that like, oh, you want a big house and money or whatever?
it depends, it can come to you from your conditioning. What you want may come to you from your conditioning, and you will find that in your conditioning, there is an assumption. The assumption is that you are not happy now, and you will be happy when you fill in the blank, when you do this and do that, or become like this or become like that, or achieve this or achieve that. That's the assumption that is hidden in your personal desires or in your conditioned desires. Now, there are desires that come to you from a different place. They come to you from your freedom, from your joy, from your love for exploration, your love for life, your love for discovery, which doesn't come from a sense of lack or from fear. It comes from life itself, from God itself, from the universe that likes to play and manifest. Like right now, we are manifesting this conversation about truth, about intelligence, about wisdom, because we enjoy this conversation, we enjoy this exploration, and we enjoy the understanding.
And if somebody doesn't follow that desire,
Which desire? I talked about two different desires.
the second one, the one that comes from love.
If one doesn't follow this impersonal desires and follows the personal desire,
No, let's say they don't follow either one. But they're at the same time connected to stillness, it would suggest that they would still not feel discomfort and feel happy. even if they don't follow those desires.
Life is, there's a creative aspect to consciousness. Consciousness is not just a blank state, it is an aware and creative. Creativity is one of the attributes of consciousness. So the choice not to create, let's say, in itself, that's creative. So the peace, the silence, the stillness, the causeless happiness is only seemingly perturbed or veiled when we choose to identify ourselves as a personal limited consciousness, a personal limited self. Only in that condition, only under that situation, will you experience yourself, will you experience the negative emotions and the sense of lack and the fear and the worries and the concerns. And you will be seeking the desireless state in all your desires, but without being able to reach the true desireless state because of your identification as a limited personal self. The endless desires arise out of that mind, out of the mind that is identified, is limited. The endless desires rather than the desireless state. So in terms of, is the peace of being and the silent, the still presence available across both the personal, the impersonal, or the other option where there is no desire whatsoever? Yes, that peace of being is available across all states. It is the ground of all states, of all positions. But in the case of personal identification, it is veiled to itself.
Yeah, I think I understand. And so with the removal of the personal identification and being in tune with the silence state, and from that place, I believe what you're saying is that creation is almost like a natural state. It naturally would flow. The idea of being creative.
Yes. In the absence of personal identification, Lila continues, creation continues, but there is nothing at stake for anybody because there isn't the personal identity. There isn't an identification, and therefore there is nobody who is experiencing that there is something coming at
desire or lack.
Yes, exactly. There's no desire or lack, and there is no fear. So, but creativity goes on. Like, for example, right now, there is creation. There is this conversation, which is creation, as colors, shapes, sounds. There is the breath. There is the cosmic realm. There are galaxies and there are gravity, there is creation, but there is no issue, right? There is no issue. There's no personal issue anywhere within creation, as long as the personal issue will arise as soon as there is an identification. And this identification in your own experience as unhappiness. You will experience unhappiness. So you have access to this personal identification whenever you experience fear, worry, and concern. So fear, worry, and concern and sense of lack are your bell. It's your bell that is basically telling you, okay, this is the choice that you've made. You've right now adopted the position that you exist in time and space. You adopted the position that you are a mortal body mind, that you have a history, that you are born out of parents, and that you exist in a realm of time and space.
And so a person could technically be, I don't know, homeless and still be in that blissful state without, I don't know, going out there and I want to say create or work or whatever it might be, like that feeling, that need that we've grown accustomed to, like, oh, we have these responsibilities of things that must get done. And I know you mentioned earlier about shelter, food, and clothing, but let's say this person is happy with sleeping on the street, and then technically that's fine, right? Like that should work.
There is a difference between creation and creativity out of the desire to create and the joy of creating, and creating out of worry, fear, and concern for oneself. So it doesn't matter, whether your bank account, what your bank account is at. That's not what we are talking about. We're talking about the inner realm of fear, worry, and concern. So it depends in your creativity what you are assuming yourself to be. If you're assuming yourself to be somebody, then your creativity is aiming to preserve you, to preserve your personal self, and to maintain you as a psychological character within your own mental realm. And that's it, the cocoon, that's a trap, that's the bubble of personal identification. And within that bubble, there is the sense of me, and the belief in a me, and all sorts of mental activities in order to maintain and save and safeguard this illusory me. But outside of that bubble is the entire universe.
And so going back to what you said, that the body and the mind would point you in the direction of what needs to get done, that would come, that desire, I guess it's not a desire, it's just an indicator, like that is not attached to fear.
It's the universe universing. I mean, right now the universe is universing within your body mind without you being aware of that. The universe is universing breathing, for example, blood circulation, heartbeat, body temperature, hunger, tiredness or not tiredness. It's the universe universing, and you are not, you as an organism, the body-mind organism, that body-mind organism is not separate from the universe. And so whatever appears to you in terms of thoughts, I mean, the thoughts are also universe. It's the universe universing as thoughts. When I say the universe universing, I'm not limiting that to the coarse realm of observation. There is a subtle realm of the universe manifesting as thoughts, as sensations, all of that is the universe universing. Why is the universe universing? Because of the creative aspect of consciousness. And your body, mind, and the creative aspect of consciousness are intertwined. They're not two. The main ignorance is the belief that there is a personal doer or a personal actor or a personal subject within that entire realm, within the universe.
What makes it a little difficult for me is that when I pay attention to my thoughts and sensations, it feels like it comes along with fear.
Well, but what is it that is afraid? Is that
As soon as I start thinking about that thing that needs to get done, or whatever that desire is, it's like, oh, if you're not going to do it, then you're going to suffer, something like that, you know?
okay? Well, that which perceives these thoughts, I mean, within these thoughts, there is a conversation that says, if you don't do this or that, you're going to suffer. That's contained inside the thoughts. If you don't do this or that, you're going to suffer. You better do the right thing. But that which perceives the thought, is that not you?
You're getting me again like last week.
Well, I mean, I'm asking, I mean, you perceive the thought. I mean, you perceive the thought that says, if I don't do this or that, something is going to happen to me. So it's some sort of fear that the body, there is a sensation that you perceive, which you call as fear. So you also perceive the fear. I'm asking you, aren't you that which is perceiving those sensations and perceiving those thoughts? The answer is yes, of course you are.
Mm-hmm.
You are that which perceives. So which are you, that which perceives, or are you that one which is inside the perceptions, which better do this or that, or else something bad is going to happen to them? Which one are you? Are you that character that you perceive inside, within the thoughts, or are you that which perceives?
I'm that which perceives, but
that perceives, and that which perceives, nothing is happening to that which perceives. There's something happening to that which you are perceiving. Oh my God, he did the wrong thing, or she did the wrong thing. Oh my God, what's going to happen to him tomorrow? You know what I mean? It's like you're watching a movie, and you imagine yourself to be in the movie, and you're identifying yourself with that person in the movie, and you just just trying to. You're praying to God that person in the movie makes the right move and gets it right and gets to salvation. Because you're enjoying this show. That's what you want to do. This is what you're enjoying. You are maintaining. So, oh my God, he better not do this. Oh my God, now he's did the wrong thing. Oh, he's in doo-doo. But all along, you're not in the movie. You're watching it. You're observing it, but you don't want to recognize that you're observing it. You'd rather feel those feelings, because those feelings, they're juicy. It's good stuff. I mean, depression, anger, happiness, jealousy, unhappiness, jealousy, envy. It's juicy stuff. I mean, when you look at People magazine, in the world, you know how many billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars are made on this sort of thing, in the magazines and the newspapers, and it's a big business because people love it. They love it.
So when a sensation of fear, let's say, comes up, and I'm able to separate myself and observe it and recognize, okay, I'm just the one observing this movie. I guess what I'm asking is, like, it's okay for me to allow that sensation to be there.
Well, what do you mean? It's already there.
Right.
What do you mean by allowing it? It's already there. I mean, you're talking about a sensation, so obviously it's there. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't be talking about it.
I guess what I'm asking is, like, is there a way to get to a point where a sensation like that doesn't show up, or it's normal? Sensations like that will show up, and just separate myself from it, and therefore...
All depends on your interest. Your interest in the show. It depends on your interest. It's not, doesn't depend on me or on you, the president of the USA. It doesn't, it depends on you. Because you're interested, when you're not interested in the drama, or, then you turn off the station. You turn it off. You turn off the station because you're not interested.
That's my question. Is there a way to turn the station off? Yeah,
Of course,
right.
it depends. It depends. What is it that you really love? You have to contemplate. Ask yourself, what is it you truly love? You may find that which you truly love is consciousness itself, and not the storyline, not that consciousness is real, and you love that which is real, not the show. I mean, I have no issue with the show. I mean, I like theater; it's okay, but the show is a show. It's not. I mean, for 2 hours you watch a movie and you forget that you're watching the movie. You get immersed into the movie. And that's exciting, that's otherwise you wouldn't enjoy the movie. Otherwise you wouldn't. You have to forget yourself so you can enjoy the movie. But so it's okay. But what is it that really you truly love? You love peace, freedom, joy. You love consciousness, because consciousness is freedom, joy, love, and beauty. It's not the beautiful woman or the big bank account that is happiness. No, you have to be clear about that. If you still believe that good relationship or a big bank account or a healthy body is happiness, if you still believe that, then you're going to be steered in that direction. But if once you come to clarity that, okay, peace and happiness are not phenomenal, it's not in a relationship, it's not in a situation, it's not in money, it's not in power, it's not in being loved, it's not being surrounded by friends. Although we enjoy that, we enjoy it. I'm not saying we can't enjoy it, you enjoy it, but it's not about your peace and happiness. Once you realize that's not there, then where is peace and happiness? Because that's what you really love, is peace and happiness. It's in presence, it's in consciousness. It's in non-phenomenal, it's not in the phenomenal realm. It is that reality which perceives, because that which perceives is not phenomenal. The body is phenomenal, the movie is phenomenal, your car is phenomenal, your bank account is phenomenal, but you are not phenomenal. You are not phenomenal. Your presence, your being, your awareness, your consciousness. And that's what we love above all. It's not the body we love. No, it's not the body we love. So in terms of your question about, can this, unhappiness in the movie end? Yes, of course. When you decide to end it, it ends. And you decide to end it right now. It's always right now. You can decide to end it yesterday, or you can decide to end it tomorrow, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always now. So now, in this moment, you can simply be as presence, or you can choose to be Mo, blah, 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 fill in all the blanks you want, Mo, this guy, that whatever you can be Mo, storyline, but in fact, if you really pay attention, you will notice that the only way for you to be Mo is by traveling in time, in the past or in the future. But in presence, and right now, you are presence. Mo is presence. There is no Mo. It's just presence. Or you could say Mo is presence. It's okay. It doesn't matter how we speak it. It's the understanding that matters.
So really, there is no I that wants peace or happiness. There just is.
There is no personal I anywhere. There is no personal I, but there is I as awareness. Awareness, we say I. Who is it that perceive? I perceive. This I as awareness. So if there is any I who's desiring peace and happiness, it is awareness which is desiring peace and happiness, but awareness is peace and happiness. So it's peace and happiness desiring itself. Bingo. Peace and happiness desires itself. Bingo. Done deal. Why? It's done deal because peace and happiness is already peace and happiness. Boom. Realized. in a second, bingo, you won the lottery. You don't need to go anywhere or do anything. You are that which you seek.
Thank you.
Okay, well. Hi, Chris. Hi.
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, Chris.
So I'm curious about identification and the process of it. I'm not sure how important this is. I'm trying to keep this to out of my head stuff and more in my experience, but I am curious about, is it enough? I guess my question is it enough to just undo and see the falseness of the personal identification? Is that far enough? That feels like that's far enough to go. But then there's also a question of, or is there a role for a proactive role in re-identifying?
Mm. Mm.
Is that clear?
Yes, yes. So, yes, it is important to understand, to be completely clear that there is no person, no separate person anywhere. That whenever you look for a separate me, you're only going into time, you're going into memory, you're going into future, you're going into some storyline, while in fact your experience is always now, this moment, which is not in time. So it's important to understand that I refers to this aware presence. But this understanding is not a sufficient understanding. It will not give you the full satisfaction, because there could still be a sense of, yes, this me is aware. This awareness it's a me. It's this conscious that I'm not a personal self. I'm not the body mind, but I'm consciousness. But still, there's still this limitation, sense of limitation to consciousness. So you need to understand and experientially that consciousness, that the reality which perceives right now is noumenal, is non-phenomenal, meaning it is not subject to time and space. Time and space refer to beginning, ending, refer to location, with certain spatial arrangement of various forms. But the consciousness, being noumenal, does not have any parameters that can serve in identifying it in whatever way. That consciousness has no form or shape or location. Has no center, no borders. So you have to come to that experiential understanding, which one could say the universality of consciousness, not as a new belief. So we arrive to, yes, I am consciousness is, but I don't know what consciousness is. I know for certain that consciousness is, but I don't know what consciousness is. This is a good place to arrive to, because then you're open. You don't know, because you don't know it's open. You're completely open. And then in living experientially as best you can, as this borderless presence. Your body is a universe. Wherever your eyes fall is God's reality, God's body, God's being. You live with that understanding. You put on those pairs of shoes and you walk in them, and you see how comfortable they are and how they become more and more comfortable. And then of its own, the consciousness will reveal itself to you for what it truly is. And it will establish itself within your being, which is its being, as in its full wardrobe, in its full in its full aspects, in all its attributes will reveal themselves to you.
Is it cheating, Magdi, to ask what those attributes are?
No.
I've heard being these they're attributes that don't have opposites, correct?
Yes, the attributes that have no opposites, like consciousness has no opposite. The attributes of consciousness, we talk about them all the time. They're love, beauty, happiness, creativity, intelligence, compassion, freedom, celebration, peace. I love the peace. Of course, happiness means no lack. Love means not two, no duality, non-duality, Advaita. Beauty is wherever your eyes fall, it's beauty, it's God's beauty. Beauty is the world is beauty. Creation is beauty. Intelligence is the knowingness about knowingness, the knowingness about God, the knowingness about consciousness knowing itself, the knowingness of consciousness about itself, and of course about its creation, because everything is itself, including its creation. That's intelligence and wisdom. The wisdom is in how consciousness can navigate all different paths, all different directions towards itself. How all the streams and all rivers meander, but they all go to the ocean. The wisdom of consciousness to point to itself in so many different ways, which is expressed through the words of the sages, the rishis.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, Chris. Yes. Any questions? Okay. Thank you all. Very lovely to be with you all. Holger, Mo, Chris, Mark, Eric, Frank, George, Holly, and Mark Rotek, Mark, and David. See your winter time over there, Mark. Eh? And my sweet Tara. Thank
That's
you
a
all.
chilly day.
Yes, enjoy. Okay, be well. I will leave the session on in case people want to chat.